Hi everyone, welcome to the Witching Week. Today is episode 90. We are officially on the countdown to 100 now. In today's episode, I'm going to be talking about some animals. I've got several stories for you. We're going to be looking at Earth's mini-moon, which is going to be in orbit for a couple of months this autumn. And as we've got the autumn equinox in a couple of days, we'll be looking briefly at that as well. So grab a cup of tea, get comfy, put some incense on, and we'll explore the Witching Week. So welcome back everybody, thank you for being here, thank you for watching, welcome. Every Friday we get together and have a cup of tea and a bit of a chin wag. So it's Friday again, I can't quite believe it, it rolls around really quickly, and we're on episode 90. We are officially on the countdown to 100 now, which is really exciting. Let me know in the comments how your week has been, what it's been like, what you've been doing, whether you've got any plans for the autumn equinox, which is coming up in a couple of days, and the spring equinox if you're in the southern hemisphere. So I'm just lighting a candle and some incense. It's really dark here now. You can't tell because I'm sat in a window, but already I'm having to do these videos a little bit later on in the day because of the lack of sun in the morning in this position and where the sun shines on the house. So there are definite autumnal changes afoot. What is it like where you are? How is it going? Has the weather changed noticeably? It really has here. It's so dark and misty out there today. So today I am drinking cranberry and raspberry twinings. We always do this at the start of a video. I know you guys like to join in with me with the incense, and today I am burning good vibes. I should really be on a retainer from Satir really, because that tends to be the incense that we burn, but they've just got so many. This is a new one for me. I've not tried this one before, but yeah, I'll encourage anything for some good vibes. So tell me, how have things been? What have you been up to? Give me the latest news on how your witching week has been. Mine has been absolutely mental, and to be honest, I don't feel like I've had a very productive week. Do you ever have those weeks or those days where you just don't, you know, you work but you don't really get much done? I mean, I have, but it hasn't felt like a good week, if you know what I mean. It hasn't felt very productive, but it has been completely mental. And I guess as a professional witch, we're coming up to the busiest time of the year. I'm not going to call it the season of the witch. You know how I feel about that, you know, every moment is the season of the witch, but this is definitely a very fun time. This is definitely a time when people quite often find their focus for witchcraft. They're drawing inwards because they're literally going inside, they're not outside so much, and so things are getting really busy. So I just want to give a big thank you to those who have joined Patreon in the last couple of weeks. There's been quite a few of you, and we have got a bumper month coming up on Patreon. So I'm doing a bumper month for October. I'm going to do a bumper month for December, because Samhain and Yule are the two festivals that I know people really enjoy, along with Beltane of course. But I feel like this is a really special time of year, and also I think it's really good for people who find winter difficult. I know I do, so I know how good it is to have a distraction. So we'll probably have a quieter month in November so that we can have two really busy months, and it will just be a lovely distraction from the cold and the wet and not having as much to do. And there is going to be some fun and games. So I'm thinking for Yule, we're going to have a Patreon-wide quiz, a Christmas quiz. I think that will be really good fun. So coming up next month, yeah, I mean, we're only about a week and a half away from October, which is shocking. This video covers this week until next Friday, so that's Next Friday will be the 27th of October, which is mad. But for October on Patreon, we have a firefighter's true story. So this is about two men divided by 75 years who have been joined together by a tragedy. I'm speaking to one of my gorgeous patrons about her husband and about the past lives he has been experiencing. So I'm really excited, we both are, to bring you this. I also have a story of a fae encounter. I have an ancestor connection ritual for you guys, several articles on dumb suppers so that you can hold your own. We'll have a community ancestor altar and information on setting up ancestor altars so that you can have a go at that, and I'll be sharing my ET experience and the story of the mystery stamp. So I have been threatening this for a couple of years now. I've been really nervous about telling this story. I still am, but I'm going to share it with you guys because it is wild. And yeah, October is going to be a brilliant month, so I can't wait. And our online grimoire and our printable grimoire sheets are really starting to stack up now. We've got over 150 articles already posts. So yeah, if you are a beginner to witchcraft, then it's absolutely perfect for you, but I am catering to all abilities. There is something for everyone. We've got a really kind, compassionate, caring community that are creative and a lot of fun, and everybody has different magical skills and different abilities, and there is a witchcraft lesson every month. So if you feel like you fit into that demographic and you want to come and join a beautiful community, then do come and join us. You'll be warmly welcomed. So this week has been a week of animals. There have been quite a few animal stories which have been very amusing and very interesting. Are animals connected to witchcraft? I would say yes. Most of us are animists. We believe there's a spirit in everything, and obviously animals is no exception. Many of us have pets. Many of us have familiars. If we do have pets, some of those aid us in our magical work, or certainly are very interested when we do magical work and like to appear when we're doing spells or reading tarot. And of course, there are those magical correspondences and animal medicine. You know, animals have been connected to certain qualities and characteristics all across the world. So yeah, I thought I would cover these stories. I thought they were sweet and they were interesting or funny. So first of all, we have the story of Cinnamon, a capybara who has escaped from a zoo in Telford in Shropshire. Now, zoos and I don't get on very well. I understand the need for conservation, I understand the need for education, and in doing this, sometimes we inspire the people of the future who are going to help animals, but me personally, I find them very energetically overwhelming, and on the rare occasion I've been to zoos, I tend to cry. So I don't really... I feel for the capybara. She has escaped. She's apparently comfortable. She's safe. She has no shortage of food. She's okay where she is, and they are still trying to catch her with live traps so that they can return her to the zoo. But I feel a bit sad for her. I totally understand why she wanted to escape. The next story I have is a couple of squirrels who boarded a train. It was the 8:54 train to Gatwick Airport from Reading, and they ended up cancelling the train ride because they had these two squirrels on board that they couldn't get sort of organised and off the train. So it made me laugh because when I was reading articles about this, it said that the squirrels boarded and refused to get off, and I thought that was really funny. But and I did laugh out loud at that because I just imagined this scenario, one of these imaginary scenarios playing out in my head of a conversation between the train sort of conductor and the squirrels refusing to get off. But a spokesperson said, "We can confirm that the 8:54 Reading to Gatwick was terminated at Red Hill after a couple of squirrels boarded the train at Gomshall without tickets, breaching railway bylaws. We attempted to remove them at Redhill, but one refused to leave and was returned to Reading to bring an end to a nutty tale. And they've spelt tale as in a squirrel's tail rather than a story. So yeah, very, very amusing. That did make me chuckle this week. We've got a story on wolves now. Apparently a boy in Scotland has officially been allowed to identify as a wolf. So this is a story in relation to his schooling. The school have claimed that he has species dysphoria, and they are supporting him in his claim that he is a wolf. He believes he's a wolf. Now, in all the articles that I've read on this, there has been a neuropsychologist who has been quoted, Dr. Tommy McKay, and he says there's no such thing as species dysphoria, which is, I don't know, maybe that's up for debate, I'm not sure. Apparently there are a number of children these days who they're taking on personalities of animals. They are claiming that they believe that they are these animals. So things as like foxes, birds, snakes, and apparently even dinosaurs and dragons. Now, when you think of those animals, they are the sort of animals that are easy to imitate, I think, except maybe the foxes, but certainly birds, snakes, very easy for children to make the noise of a snake, and dinosaurs and dragons, again, you know, all it needs is a simple grrr. But on a serious note, you know, I was trying to think, what do I actually think about this? I mean, on the one hand, it feels ridiculous, but on the other hand, there's nothing wrong with self-expression. Our youngest, she continuously pretended to be a cat when she was little. I've read that schools are putting down litter trays for, you know, the pupils that think they are cats. I find that very, very hard to believe. It's very, very difficult, of course, when you read things on the internet to just know exactly what is true and what is just propaganda. You know, some of these slightly more right-wing papers do make up stuff sometimes. But if that is true, I find that to be a little bit nuts, if I'm honest. But at the same time, I just want to say that the world is a really, really difficult place at the moment. And I think it's really, really hard being a child at the moment. So I am not at all surprised if this is going on. And if there are genuine cases of this where children genuinely think that, then I am sympathetic to that. If, you have to be very, very careful here. Sometimes children do pretend to be different animals. That is all part of imaginative play. That is completely normal. But I think if perhaps this is taken too far sometimes, and some parents are just willing to believe absolutely anything rather than just say, okay, we're not going to do that. Really, really awkward, really awkward. It has made me think about a conversation that I had in the week about how so much is dismissed as mental health issues these days. Once upon a time, we would have seen certain mental health issues or perhaps even conditions as the shamans amongst us, the priests, the seers. It's very, very interesting how things have changed for the better or not. I don't know. We live in a very unusual world now. That's all I'm going to say. It was not like this 20 years ago. So what do you think about children identifying as animals and being supported in that? Please be kind in the comments. This isn't, I know this is a slightly controversial topic, which is unusual for me, but please be kind in the comments. This isn't designed to, be provocative. It's just the musings of the week. So I had an amusing story, something funny that happened to me in the week. I say funny, it was amusing, but just sort of an indication that I am a witch. So I went into a local bookshop. We have a number of small market towns in the area that have countryside separating them, you know, we are rural, but we do have a couple of small market towns, including the one that I live in. And so I travelled to one of the next ones along to go to a bookshop. Now, this is a bookshop that we have only really just discovered this summer. I say only just discovered, we've always known it was there, but for whatever reason, whenever we were in the area, it would always be shut, and we'd never been in this bookshop. So I went back to this bookshop because I bought some books last time and I wanted to get some more this time. And I'll just show you, I can sort of unrelated to the story, but I'll show you what I bought. I bought several lovely old books on folklore. So these are sort of regional books with lots of different folklore tales in. I love these books. I have got loads of them. I've got modern ones, I've got old ones. I find the stories to be so charming and so amusing. And so yeah, I bought these, and I got chatting to the lady who runs the bookshop. Very, very nice lady. She remembered me from before. I'd bought some books on fairies, and we got onto the topic of witchcraft purely because of the type of book that I'm buying. And she said that she had asked her friend if she was a witch. So she mentioned that her friend was called Sam, and she said, "Sam, are you a witch?" And she told me about this conversation they'd had. And when she was just sort of getting into it, I just said, I got this really strong feeling. That just would not leave my head. So I was sort of at this point, I was listening, but I had this thing going on inside my head. And usually that's a very good indicator to me, but I didn't take any notice of it. But I just had to say to her, "I'm sorry, can I stop you there?" And she said, "Yes." And I said, Sam. And she said, "Yes, Sam," and then repeated Sam's surname. And it's funny because can you imagine how many people there must be locally called Sam? Well, the surname she gave me was of my friend Sam. What were the chances? I mean, I know we all live locally. I know we're talking the next market town along, but there are other pagans, there are other witches, there are lots of people locally, and many of them must be called Sam. But no, my feeling was correct, and it was my Sam, it was my friend Sam. So we had a bit of a laugh about that, and I said, "Well, you know, I am a witch." And yeah, it was a really lovely moment. So now I have met one of my friend's friends, and lovely she is. So yeah, lovely experience that I had in the week. One of those funny, magical moments that happen from time to time. So moving on from that story, we are going to talk about the moon, and not the moon that you see as you look up. And we had a beautiful super full moon in Pisces in the week, but the Earth is briefly going to have a mini moon for a little while this autumn. So for 2 months, for about 59 days, from the 29th of September until the 25th of November, the Earth is going to have a second moon going round our planet, orbiting. It's not going to do a full orbit. And basically it's an asteroid. It's one that has been trapped and has been pulled in by our Earth's gravitational pull, and eventually it will return home to that one of the asteroid belts that are revolving around the sun. So for a couple of months we are going to have an extra moon. The sad thing is, at 10 meters long, it is too small for us to see it. It's too small to be seen with amateur binoculars and telescopes, so you have to have really, really professional equipment to be able to see it, which is such a shame. It would have been really lovely if we'd been able to see it, but we will know it's up there. And apparently it's not the first time that the Earth has had a mini moon. There has been one in 1981 and also one in 2022 apparently. I didn't catch that when it happened. So yeah, we will have a second moon for a little while. So how amazing is that? I don't know if it's got a name. I don't know if they're giving it a name. It would be interesting to find out. So autumn equinox, this Sunday, 22nd at 13:43 hours in the UK. That is the point at which equinox happens. What are your plans? I'd love to know what you're doing. We will have our youngest here for the weekend, so I imagine we haven't quite finalised what we're doing. We haven't even got as far as thinking about the weekend. It has been an extremely busy week and an extremely busy couple of months, as you guys know. We will probably have a celebratory meal, I should imagine. I just want to talk about the autumn equinox, not about the equinox itself, but some of the posts I've seen in relation to it. We've covered the autumn equinox before. Obviously, we're nearly at the 100th video, so at some point I've covered Marbon and why we shouldn't really call the autumn equinox Marbon. But I just want to say that whilst I understand the reasons for doing that, and that's a message I have always put across myself, I have seen so much arguing about it and it makes me so sad. I totally understand why it shouldn't be called that, and I totally understand those who feel really strongly about that and support that. What I have learned this week is there are lots of people from Wales and elsewhere, but we're talking about Welsh folklore. There are lots of people from Wales who really don't mind it being called Marbon. There are lots of people who really do mind it being called Marbon. And I've learned that things are getting really quite heated, which is a real shame. It's a real shame. And I'm not saying we shouldn't evolve and grow and learn. I'm all about education, as you know. I'm all about filling people in on the things that they need to know. But it seems to me that 20 years ago, maybe people just didn't have platforms in which to talk. And obviously we grow and we change and we realise that some things that we thought were appropriate before aren't now. But I have to say 20 years ago there weren't these sorts of issues. I'm not saying we shouldn't tackle this. I'm not saying we shouldn't have this up for discussion. Quite clearly we should. And if people that are from Wales do not want it to be called Marbon, it's entirely their right to fight for that. But it would be nice to see more respectful debates and more respectful conversation. And I'm not saying that any which side is particularly at blame here, and I understand the strong feelings, but I'm just talking about humans and how we work stuff out together and how we muddle along. It would be really nice to see much, respectful interactions over what is a celebratory time, over a time in which we should be enjoying, and everybody should be able to enjoy it. And again, I'm not pointing a finger in any which way. I'm talking about everyone. So it would be nice if we could find a way to work through these things together and do that respectfully and enjoy the upcoming festival. I'm not saying that we shouldn't tackle things. There are lots of topics and things that we have to face and we have to sort out and we have to do better at. But yeah, I'm just calling for unity. I'm just calling for a bit of love between people. And yeah, it would be nice to see that. It always makes me sad when I see pagans and witches and druids all fighting together, because really within the UK, we're one of the minorities. I think our population's about the same size as the UK Hindu population, but it is obviously less than other groups of people. So it is nice if we can get along and if we can find ways to get along. So on that note, it's time to do some cards, I think. Let's see what the message is for today. I feel like today's episode has gone really quickly, even though there was a lot to talk about. Maybe I went too quickly. My apologies if I did. I'm going to pick out one of the Whispering Woods cards today, because I really love those. And then we'll move on to the tarot. Let me know in the comments what you've been doing, what you've been up to. I love to hear about your week. Even if I don't type a response straight away, I always read the messages as they come in. Light. Look to the space between the trees for answers. That's really lovely. Such a nice deck. I've shown you guys before, but it's by Jessica Lee. And it's called Whispering Woods. A very nice deck indeed. Right then, let's have a little tarot reading for the week ahead or thereabouts. Okay, so I picked 3 cards today. We have the 6 of Pentacles, we have the 4 of Cups, and we have the 9 of Cups. So the first thing that springs to mind looking at the 6 of Pentacles and the 4 of Cups is this reading is, or this little bit of advice is about giving and taking, in particular when it comes to help. So many of us are very, very good at helping others, sometimes to our own detriment. Sometimes we give way too much of our time, our energy, our mental capacity, our sort of brain space, our money, are just everything really, just to help others. And many of us are people pleasers and do that without sort of sometimes putting ourselves first. And it's usually those people that give and give and give and give who actually find it really, really difficult to ask for help. Sometimes we need to do that, and sometimes we can get into this sort of situation where people are offering help and we're refusing to take it for whatever reason. But quite often pride is at the heart of that. Quite often we feel, and I definitely think this is a thing in our country where, we're all about thrashing ourselves. We're all about, doing the hardest thing. We're never about rest. We're always about hard work. And I think it's the same in terms of society's pressures upon people to give and give and give and give and not to take. And relationships should be reciprocal. I'm always seeing people refer to relationships as like, oh, it's transactional, meaning it's one-sided. Transactional actually means that both people are giving to that relationship. Healthy relationships should be transactional. There should be something in it for both parties. It shouldn't be that there's always a winner and there's always a loser, because that indicates an imbalance. So if we are someone who is giving and giving and giving and giving and giving to the point where we're burning out, we're depressed, we haven't got any money because we've given it all away, and I'm talking in extremes here, but many people will do this, it is time to think about how you can bring a little bit of harmony, a little bit of balance back into your world, a little bit of happiness for yourself, by sometimes taking the help that is offered, not being too proud, not being, not refusing help for the sake of it, taking that help if it's offered. If you need it, it is okay to do that. It is okay to put yourself first sometimes and to not spread yourself too thin. And in doing so, you will find that your life is much happier, it's much more settled. It's okay to say no. People will get used to that. If you're used to just saying yes all of the time, it might be weird at first for people when you say no, but sometimes that has to be done for your own health and well-being and sanity. And equally, if people are used to you saying no to the help that they're offering, sometimes it would do everyone good for you to say yes, not just for you, but for them as well. How nice is it for other people to be able to give back sometimes? So this is about giving and receiving. It's about offering help and taking help. We all need a little foot up sometimes, a step up. We all need someone to help us sometimes. There is no shame in that, and you'll be all the better for it, all the better for it. So on that note, let's say goodbye. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being here. I'm wishing you an awesome witching week. I'll be back next week on the 27th of September. We will nearly be in October. I can't quite believe it. Time is not linear, it is flying by. So take care of yourselves and each other. I'm sending you lots of love and blessings.